Sean, what are we talking about?
Greetings, Edrenka. Greetings, viewers. The chairman of the Virgin Islands Party, the VIP, Honorable Julian Fraser, had to fight a solitary battle when the House of Assembly met on September 11 for the 9th sitting. In fact, during that sitting, the Auditor General's report on the Seacoast Bay Harbour Development Project was tabled. Now, when the 3rd District Representative, Honorable Fraser, moved a motion for debate on the report, there were no other opposition members on the bench to support him, to second the motion, let alone to join in the debate after the motion was passed. It took the at-large representative on the government side, Honorable Archibald Christian, to second the motion. And he also took the opportunity to launch the attack on Fraser right away. Let's have a listen.
The activity of the project during 2010 to 2011 to develop the western end of the harbor, again the western portion west of the Valerie Thomas Community Center, presents particular issues that require disclosure. During the implementation period, the project activity was being controlled by the Minister, Honorable Julian Fraser. All of the funds applied in 2011 in the amount of $335,706.30 were focused on bulkheading the western end of the harbor, which included but was not limited to an area owned and leased by Mr. Earl Fraser of Hannah's Reclamation.
Now, according to the Auditor General's report, there was a general absence of information with regards to the project. However, the 3rd District Representative, Honorable Fraser, says that nothing is really wrong with the recording of the accounts in the ministry, that is the Ministry of Communications and Works, and he's suggesting that the information is there and the Auditor General didn't look well enough and also suggested in the right places to get the information that they needed to conduct what he says would have been a more factual report. And he has given us his take on the matter by presenting to us this particular document, which involves his claims and counter-claims to the Auditor General's report. Let's hear him in this clip.
Vouchers has all the information that is needed, Madam Speaker, about a project for the purposes intended here. It's on the voucher, and the Auditor General get the voucher copies of the voucher. So it seems to me, Madam Speaker, that there's a huge deficit of experience in that office. What we should be doing, Madam Speaker, is to properly fund the office so it can be properly staffed. Because, you know, we cannot afford, I mean, I'm talking because it's me right now, but it could be anybody. We cannot afford for reports like this coming out of the office like that the public gravitates to as if it's gospel.
Now, does that sound familiar, except in this case, it's on a different foot?
Well, Sean, it's a couple of things that's interesting to me with what's happening here. The issue of information really is not a substantive issue. I don't see it as a substantive issue. When the report says that that act, tell me, I can't remember the name of the act that he violated.
I can't recall it exactly, but you're saying that
there were several requirements for the project that were not followed. Those are the important things here.
Submitting information to the planning authorities and so forth.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. He violated the Planning Act. I can't remember the exact name for it. He spent money. He spent monies for which services were not rendered, and and that money did not come back. That money is still gone.
Right, because there were 7 petty contracts, and only 2 of those contractors completed their works, and there was a 10% down payment for all of the 7 contractors. So basically, there's money out there.
He didn't get planning approval.
Yes.
For the projects that was done. So I mean, those are the real issues here. Whether there was enough, whether there was information that was supposed to be in the office, in the files, whether they were shredded or they just vanished, or they were never done in the first place. Those are other issues. But the violations that the report spoke to definitively, those are what the real issues are. And my question, Sean, is what legal action can be taken, or what criminal investigation need to be initiated in order for whatever illegality the report has clearly defined be redressed?
Well, my question would be, would there have to be a forensic audit? I know PricewaterhouseCoopers conducted an audit of the Treasury practices here just recently, and they presented a number of shocking findings. And again, that's why you see the issue of record keeping is tied in here. But keeping along that train of thought that you raised, in terms of the relevance of carrying out any sort of investigation with an intention of proving whether or not someone is culpable, is probably going to require a forensic audit if you're not going to start with a commission of inquiry first in any case, because you know how government is. It's so difficult really to point fingers at any particular legislator. You may recall too that in the report the Auditor General said that the permanent secretary at the time refused to cooperate. And there again, you may ask yourself, how can you get that person to come and present his or her information to help make this case a stronger case?
Well, you would have, the obvious way would be subpoena and have the person testify under oath. So, I'm wondering what kind of immediate criminal investigation needs to take place regarding illegalities in the project, not violation of laws, misconduct, misappropriation of funds, public funds.
I heard
those are serious.
Allegations, yeah.
Yeah, those are serious allegations. If the governor wants to talk about serious allegations, he needs to take a look at those.
But
how is that process? And I was wondering whether this report should just be dropped right on the public prosecutor's desk instead of having whether it has to go through the governor for a commission of inquiry and then go through there, or just go to the public prosecutor for a criminal investigation. Because certainly it appears to me, based on the definitive statements made by the Auditor General, that there may be criminal misconduct.
Well, again, let's look at what happened with the report titled the Port Development Project Special Report, tabled in the House of Assembly on July 22nd. Then we were looking at the Cruise Pier project, and the opposition was up in arms over what transpired during that particular project. Some of the processes they figured were not in accordance with with good governance. And in this case, we are seeing a similar trend. Now, the question has to be asked, is it that the Auditor General is again incorrect or misinformed? Because back then, the Communications and Works Minister, Honorable Mark Vanderpool, suggested that, yes, he accepted some of the issues, suggestions raised, but he thought that in some cases, she was misinformed. And we even had the Deputy Financial Secretary, Wendell Gaskin, suggesting that the Auditor General was, to paraphrase, unqualified. In fact, I think he did use the word unqualified, and suggested that she lacked the experience to really conduct audits properly. Here we are again seeing the former Communications and Works Minister, Honorable Julian Fraser, suggesting that the Auditor General or the office lacks that level of experience and know-how to conduct audits properly.
But one of the differences between that report and this report that is glaring to me is one report, the Ports Authority, the Cruise Pier report spoke about possible conflicts of interest and possible corruption.
So there was nothing definitive.
Right. But yeah, so that was, things that were not necessarily illegal, but could have been done a different way. When you talk about a no-bid process, you did have a selective bidding process, which is an acceptable process. Perhaps a full-blown bidding process should have taken place, but there was nothing illegal about a selective bidding process. So there's those differences there. Here you have violation of the Planning Act,
Yes.
violation, no approval, deposits for money for work that has
Were
not
not
been
rendered, yes.
that has not been rendered,
yes.
not given, money is not recovered. Those are statements, definitive statements, which are totally different from possibly, potentially, maybe, you know.
Yes.
So that's to me the significant difference between the two reports. But it's quite interesting.
Whether or not there will be, apart from the fact that you're citing good reasons that there should be legal implications, there are certainly political implications. And you heard the Minister of Education and Culture, Honorable Myron Walwing, saying in that very debate that the electorate should not embrace the new leader of the VIP, and he doesn't think that he is someone who should lead the country. So there's a political side there that will really have its own way.
That undertone will definitely raise its head. The political season is coming up, and there's going to be some questions that have to be answered. Questions of honesty, integrity, of doing what's correct as opposed to what you want to do, and procedures that needs to be followed. And that's definitely going to raise its head in the 2015 political campaign. So,
that sums it up. Fraser having to fight alone basically to defend his credibility.
And that was an interesting thing. I was wondering why the leader of the opposition, who was a member of the party,
and the former Minister of Finance,
Minister of Finance, did not at least second the motion. That would seem to be that would seem to be the natural order of things, not a member of government seconding the motion brought to the House by the opposition, but the opposition member who is the leader of the opposition and really should have seconded the motion.
Of course, the vociferous Forest District Representative Honorable Andrew Foy had already signaled his plans to boycott the 9th sitting because he was still up in arms about the way the 8th sitting was adjourned.
Well,
so
that creates, and we're going to have to end this conversation now, but that creates another question, Sean, that if your colleague is facing a firing squad and you choose to be absent at that time for some other reason that really does not compare to the seriousness of what is about to happen, that raises questions in my mind of solidarity and cohesiveness in a group situation such as this. But it's going to be a lot of interesting discussions over the next several months, I suppose, about all these things that's happening in the country. Certainly, we have a lot to look forward to. Thank you very much for that interesting report.